Edouard Mendy is one that everyone talked about today. He conceded more than one goal for the very first time in a Chelsea game as well. From one goalkeeper to another, how do you rate him, Marcus?
Well, you could see some of the, obviously with his feet, he's tremendous. You look at, the game has changed. It's constantly evolving. And, when I remember when me and Robert started off playing in the Premier League, or Maya playing in England at, the playing out of the back was non-existent, and now everybody wants to play out of the back, and which is why I'm probably pretty adamant about playing 4-4-2. But you go down that whole list. So the game has completely changed, and seeing how good he is with his feet and how comfortable he is playing out of the back, it's tremendous. He's such an incredible athlete as well. The save he made to his right side in the first half was tremendous. But, last week you see where he's making just somewhat positional errors, coming for balls where he has no business coming for. And then even on the second goal today, Robert said, why is he out so far? If he stayed back another yard or two, especially once it starts coming at an angle, you're losing time to react. And I know there's a cost benefit. Do you cut down the angle? But you lose time, your reaction time, because of the ball speed and how close you are to the player when he shoots it. So it's a constant balancing act. And, if he was back another yard or two, would he have a little bit better time to react as opposed to trying to just save with his foot, the stick save? Would he be able to kind of go out with his hand? I don't know. There's a lot of, second guessing, and from a warm cabin, I did say Robert would have saved that.
Well, when you look at all the teams that have won the Premier League, almost all of them have got a world-class goalkeeper that is number one or number two at that point of time. Is Edouard Mendy world-class to you, Rob?
It's an interesting question. That his rise to fame has been so quick that it's been nigh on impossible for him to be able to nurture his game as quickly as he can do and be able to be up to speed to be called world class. It was 5 years ago that he was in France in the queue to get his picking up his unemployment benefit because he didn't have a club, he didn't have a job, and he had nowhere to go. 5 years on, he's playing for Chelsea in the Premier League. So it's that quick. At Rennes, he had one season getting promoted, one season in Ligue 1, and you're looking at that to say, well, is that enough? Is that enough to harness your skills? And it's these decisions, the decision-making is about coming forward, coming out of the goal, when to come, when not to come, where to stay, when not to be involved. Doing nothing as a goalkeeper is a good option. And so that's the sort of thing that you learn over time, and you learn through games and also playing at a higher level for a more consistent period. So you go, if you're interested, go look at his history, go look at how many games he's played. It's not that many, and it's actually a really, really steep learning curve. And so to call him world-class yet is too soon, purely on the basis that he's only been playing professional football for 4 or 5 years.
How would you define a world-class goalkeeper then, Marcus?
I don't know. I mean, but just to kind of add on to what Robert said, I mean, he's 20 years old. I was already, with my wife at that time, back in '92, I think, when he was born. So he is a young goalkeeper. You don't reach your prime till you're in your 30s. And he has had that really quick learning curve. And those are things that you need to learn, right? And it does take time, and you learn it by making mistakes. Albeit that now it's, you have to make those mistakes and in a game that matters. And now, like you mentioned earlier, was that the title race gone for Chelsea? Is that their opportunity? Are they dropping points too many? But then, as Robert said, what a nice guy he is, and he's bringing in the pandemic and how these players are on their own and how difficult it must be coming over. And it's a strange season, and it's happened pretty quick after a stop-start to last year, quickly starting again this year to what's going to happen. Who knows? But I mean, Mendy has the potential to being one of probably the best goalkeepers in the world, and if in 5 years' time, if you could mention him with Edwin van der Sar and Schmeichel and Robert Green, then he will be world class.
All right, then who would you class as a world-class goalkeeper in this Premier League then? Because I remember Jose Mourinho saying Hugo Lloris is the best goalkeeper in the Premier League right now. Who would fall into that world-class bracket for you, Rob?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I'm trying to stall because I'm trying to come up with someone. But yeah, Hugo Lloris has done it for years now. And this is the thing with goalkeepers is that they have good times and bad times. And Hugo Lloris had his turn in the barrel. He had people questioning him left, right, and centre. David De Gea is being questioned right now. What they do is they come back and they come back for years. And that's a big thing, is that you've done it over a period of years. So I'm looking at those two guys, and you look around elsewhere, and there's someone like Edison who's come in, who's changed the face of goalkeeping, and Alisson, who's also been so consistent for Liverpool. But for me, one person that slipped under the radar for all these years is Kasper Schmeichel, and he's won the Premier League. They're up there again this season. He has his way of doing things. He's a consistent keeper now. And so, those guys I've mentioned, I throw Kasper Schmeichel into the mix as well, because he's managed to evolve his game. He came around in playing first-team football when me and Marcus were still playing, and we would play against him. And he's managed to change his game, also learn about his game, and also become more mature in his games. So I think that's someone, you talk about what's world-class. It's about the consistency of performances. It's about not making many mistakes, and also about just having that aura. And I think he's one in there amongst those that we've mentioned. So, yeah, it's a small group, but they're worth having in your team by no means.
Well, just one very final one then, gents. If goalkeepers and goalkeeping was a table, where would you rank Edouard Mendy right now? Marcus, we'll start with you.
No, you're putting us on the spot for all this stuff. It's crazy. I don't know. I mean, you could see some of the things that he's able to do. He's definitely got to be in the top half for sure. Top 5, I think. But this quick learning curve that he's had at 28 years old, and you're going to put yourself in a situation. And I never had that athleticism to rely on. So I always had to stand in the right spot. And, I stayed on my line a little bit more than somebody else who's able to then go do that. So reeling him in is going to be the key to his growth, I think. Making him not come for crosses. And, the same thing happened with David James when we were playing. His athletic ability was unbelievable. And David James was probably one of the best athlete that I've ever played against as a goalkeeper, I want to say. And incredible to see what he can do. But he'd put himself in situations that myself or Rob would never be in, because we just couldn't get there. So controlling him a little bit, holding him back, making him stay on his line a little bit more is going to be the growth, and see if he can do that and make those right decisions.
Rob, if you were to give a number to Edouard Mendy?
Ask me at the end of the season. You've got to judge a goalkeeper after a full season. That's what I say. But no, I'd have him in the top 10. But that's the great thing. He's got potential for so much more. I think the coaching staff, Hilario and Petr Cech, the goalkeeper coaches at Chelsea, they can go to work on him. They can teach him these things, and he can keep on learning while he's playing games. He's got potential for much, much more.